St. Louis Cardinals split their first series on the road this season. They couldn't secure the series win, but hey, a split is better than another series loss. We'll take it this time. The Cardinals take 2 from the Reds in Cincinnati. We'll talk about some of the offensive explosion and some of the offensive sputtering this series. Highs and lows from the pitching staff. Does this change our optimism level with this Cardinals team? There's a lot of different things we can talk about on this episode of Dealing the Cards. Welcome back into Dealing the Cards. I'm Josh, joined by Sandy. We don't have Andrew today, but he's usually on here with us as well. We're always breaking down Cardinals baseball twice a week, usually on Sundays and then either a Wednesday or Thursday. And with the 4-game series this week, we went live today, obviously, after the Cardinals dropped the finale of the series against the Cincinnati Reds. Obviously, they dropped the series opener as well, but then they swept the doubleheader, which I can't really remember last time they swept a doubleheader. It feels like they always drop 2.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it feels like they get swept more often than not, and then
I hate doubleheaders. I like them because it's so much baseball, but I hate them because you're guaranteed a loss. It feels so.
It feels like, yeah. And then today's frustrating because you have the Liberty. I mean, like, I don't know if the Cardinals would have won today. I just don't like that they had to go to.
Of course, it's Libby's start.
Yeah. And then you go to Loutos, or not Loutos. Geez, Loutos got DFA and traded. We'll talk about that potentially. But you had to go to Savanson and O'Brien. So hopefully you get a Roycroft soon. But before the implosion in today's game, the bullpen had actually been really good throughout the series. And I don't honestly like when you're going to O'Brien and Savanson in the 4th game, a rain delay after a doubleheader. I'm not going to get too freaked out about the bullpen imploding a little bit. Was it bad? Yes. Am I going to try to give you a silver lining to it? No, but I don't think it discounts the bullpen success leading up to it this week. So that's an interesting storyline we can talk about. But you set up something before we started the show, and I want to just tee you up because I think it'll start an interesting conversation. Because we're talking about the optimism. Like, if you look at the title of this one, is there reason for optimism at the Cardinals? I think that question's relative, right, to whoever you are. Because if you're like I was an 80 and 82 prediction person this year for this team, so like, what's my level of optimism? Could they be an 84 win team? Maybe, but like, I'm sticking pretty well to the 80 and 82. I can see them going lower, maybe a little higher. But if you're thinking the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs this year, I don't know if your optimism level is all that high right now. So that's a relative question. We can talk about it. But I think the thing that most of us agree is the thing that should give you optimism about this team, or the thing that has to continue to improve and show out to make you optimistic about this club, is the offense. And I think we disagree a little bit on how optimistic we are about it or how impressive it's been. So I want to let you kind of lead the way a little bit with some of your takes on the offense.
I mean, look, I'm not going to say the offense is bad. Like, the overall numbers are fine. And they run up the score sometimes, which is really nice. Like, I love the other day, the Cardinals, obviously in the first half of the doubleheader, they put the game away. They put it away forcefully at the end, which was really nice. They piled on a little bit there. Really, really loved the second game. You saw the Cardinals jump all over. I mean, what was that guy? Is it Chase Fedde? Was that his name?
Yep.
Making his major league debut. Like, jump all over that guy. Get that guy out of here. Welcome to the big leagues. Now, see ya. Go back to AAA. Very nice to see the Cardinals send him packing. That was great work. But also, about half the time, the Cardinals are basically giving you no chance to win the game. What do I mean by that? So let's go back to the beginning of the year when we were all about how strong the offense started. In the first 11 games, the Cardinals scored at least 4 runs in every single game, right? That's awesome. That was incredible work. Clearly, they were off to a hot start. It felt really good. They've now played 32 games on the season. So in the 21 games since then, they have scored 1 or fewer runs 9 times. And it's 9 games that you just lose. You don't win those games. It's almost impossible to win a baseball game 1-0. And in some of those games, actually, the Cardinals have had shots to win it, and they haven't come through, or we've gone to extras, and you've got that run pushed across into extras and still lost. But that's 9 times where you've had virtually 0 chance of winning the game. They've actually scored 3 or less in 12 of those 21 games. It's over half the time. So, yeah, you're still putting up solid, like, overall numbers because you have these blowouts. You score 9, you score 6. They ran it up on the Brewers, on the Astros in that last game for sure. They scored 6 and 10 against the Braves in 2 of those games. But you've scored 3 or less 12 out of 21 times. That means you've basically gone up there 12 times and told your pitching, hey, you got to be Bob Gibson today or we're not going to win this game. The pitching's not Bob Gibson. They're not winning those games. They've basically won none of those games. I mean, you can't win like that. And so that's where I'm at right now. Like, it's really inconsistent. And I think that's a problem. I mean, we can say the offense is fine on the whole, but if you can't find a way to consistently manufacture runs on nights where you're cold, because there are nights where the offense is cold, but good teams manage to score on those nights. And the Cardinals have got to figure out what that looks like. I don't know how they get things going. I know they've had a couple of unlucky moments, a couple weird calls. Like, this didn't affect anything the other day, but like the stolen base that got called back, that was crazy. That shouldn't have happened. But you've got to find a way to get something going on a night where you're cold. Because if you can't do that, you're never going to win these games. And if you're doing it over half the time, you're not setting yourself up for success. So that's where I'm at right now. Very inconsistent, and it's a real problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make fair points about that. I was trying to do this the other day because I anecdotally, I agree with you on that, but then I want to compare and see, okay, well, compared to the rest of baseball, how many games have they scored only one run in? And I haven't, and maybe someone who's listening right now has a good method to find that, and it'd be great. But I went like Fangraphs, baseball, right? Yeah, it's really like only the way I could think about it was if we literally went through every single team and went through the box scores and counted it, which I guess we could have done by now.
It's pretty grindy.
But it's pretty grindy. Or like 3 runs and stuff like that, because again, even good offenses, that happens to them. The Los Angeles Dodgers get shut out from time to time. They only score 1 run, 3 runs. So like stuff like that. That's where but I mean, it feels alarming when it's about half the time. I do think you're right that it does feel like they either explode or they don't really score. But again, I honestly don't know how many teams disagree with that when they have a more highly productive offense. Also, again, I'm talking about relative, like what's our optimism level, and I think it's relative to what were your expectations. I don't think any of us really thought this was a top 10 offense this year. And right now they're performing like one through the first month. And so like I'll take the inconsistencies.
I agree.
And so I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying. I think it's just like I don't want to move too far. I think sometimes we can do this with stuff where it's like something surprises us and is better than we thought it would, and then we like push the bar even further to say, well, it should be this, and it's like, well, we didn't even expect it to be this, so I'm going to take what we've got right now and recognize, to your point, that if they're going to actually truly be a top offense in baseball, which I think all of us even said when they were top 5 ranking in the league, like none of us believed they were actually that. We had like this debate about like, did we think they were a top 12 offense back then? Which I think, yeah, they could be a top 12 offense. And I think an offense in the 12s, 13 range is going to have some inconsistency. You're also missing Ivan Herrera right now, who was one of the best bats in all of baseball when he got hurt.
It'd be, 8 games, but it'll be really nice to have him back.
Yeah, he just mashed a home run in his first AAA game back. The Cardinals DHs have been terrible so far this year. It's like, even if Ivan Herrera just replaced that production, you sell Pedro Pages in the lineup, like that's an improvement. There's just a lot of things where, again, you can't say that Wilson Contreras isn't going to go through another slump this year, but until the last like week and a half, 2 weeks, he's been bad, like really bad this year.
Really bad.
And so like if you're thinking about going into the year, who do we all think the Cardinals' best hitter was? Is Wilson Contreras, and he was terrible. And so if you told me that, I would have told you this offense would be terrible. If you told me that the Cardinals' best hitter through the first 2 weeks of the year ends up missing the rest of the time up until this moment, I would have told you the offense would have been pretty bad. But instead, it's on the season like a top 10 offense in baseball. It has regressed in recent weeks, which is fair, but I also think it's fair to point out that they did go through a stretch, and I've said this in a couple episodes, so I won't keep saying it, but they went through a stretch where they faced in consecutive days Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown, Blanco, Griffin Canning, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Holmes, and then they went and faced the Brewers the next series, and they faced Schwallenbach. Like, they faced some good bullpens. Like, I do think a young, inconsistent offense that doesn't really have true superstar talent in the middle of it is probably going to struggle, or at least come down to earth a little bit. And even during that stretch, at worst, like I think they were 20th in runs scored for 1 week, but like overall, they were mostly middle of the pack when they were facing really good pitching. They didn't plummet down all the way to the bottom. So I agree with a lot of your takes about they're inconsistent. They need to figure out a way to push runs across like the 3, 4, 5, 6 runs a game more consistently, rather than a bunch of games where they get shut out or only get 1 run, and then they get a game where they get 9 runs. But overall, I'm just continue to be impressed by this offense because Brendan Donovan's awesome. Lars Nootbaar's awesome. Ivan Herrera, I think, will be awesome when he comes back. Mason Wynn's figuring it out right now. Wilson Contreras has been really good. Victor Scott's been far better than any of us expected he would be this year offensively. Yeah. The only, like, there's like 3 guys that I'm actually disappointed by at this point offensively. Like Wilson Contreras as a whole, I am, but he's heated up, so I'm going to move him out of that category. But it's Walker, it's Gorman, and it's Burleson. Baker, kinda, because I thought he'd be like a big sample. Yeah. It'd be like, I think he'd be a big plus against lefties right now, and he's mostly just like a positive, which is fine. And like he says, not big a sample size. So overall, I just have a hard time getting frustrated by the offense at this point.
That's fair.
But I think you bring good points with it.
Yeah, I mean, I did just look through something there. I mean, I'm just trying to pick some teams that I think the Cardinals should compare to. Like the Brewers' offense is not that good. Can we agree on that first?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They've only scored 1 or less runs 5 times this whole season. Okay. Cardinals have won 9 of their last 21 games.
Okay.
The Mariners, another team who coming into this year, a much derided offense, and deservedly so the last few years. I mean, they've been better this year. Their offense has been hot as of late. 5 times this whole season, though, they've scored 1 or less.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can't go through all 30 teams right now. Maybe I'll look into it. I don't know. Maybe I'll have like 2 hours to burn and look into it. But I mean, it is real. Like, it is a problem. It's a problem for me because, like, I mean, I had higher expectations for this team or higher hopes than other people. So I think it's fair for me to be a little annoyed. And at the end of the day, like, I don't care how much the Cardinals surprise me. Like, I'm always going to want them to win more games, and I'm always going to want them to make the playoffs, right? So even if it's like, yes, I can acknowledge the growth here, but I can also still be frustrated when, come on, dude, like, you're putting up 1 run. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't have Cy Young on the mound, right? Like, Miles Michaelis, the run support that man gets is ridiculous. It's so bad. I mean, he already needs the help, guys. Come on. You know, you can't just go silent on the days he pitches.
Yeah, that's fair. I would be really interested to see how many times, because I think the real barometer for this team over the last few years that people pointed to is when they score 3 or more runs. They're a really good team, and they usually have a positive winning record, and that's most teams. And we score 2 or less. And I know I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but if we did look through the box scores, I would probably expand it to see how many times has any team scored 2 or less runs in a game, and see how they compare to that. Because honestly, if you put up 2 runs, I don't think either of us are all that impressed by that either.
Yeah, you should.
You should probably lose that game too. And so then it's like once you get 3, it's like, you know what, you could have done a little bit more, but 3 theoretically can win you a game. Again, it's on the below average side of things, but it can get it done. But 1 or 2 runs, you expect to lose most of those games. So yeah, I might, if I can't find a better way to look this up and to filter it, I might just go ahead and do some of the homework, because I'm curious to see from your perspective too, if it's how they compare to the rest of baseball. Because sometimes, like with like when the Cardinals, there was a series where they hit like 255 or 260 with runners in scoring position. And I remember some people being like, "That's terrible." I'm like,
"That's good. That's
like with runners in scoring position, that is like among the best in baseball." But it, like, people just look at the number. It's like anecdotally it feels terrible, but it's like, okay, but compare it to the rest of everything else. And if you're like top 7 in something compared to everyone else, I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But I think to your point, like, totality of stats can lie a little bit to you when you have these games where you go off for 12 runs, 9 runs, 8 runs, and then you have all these games you get 1 run. It's like the median, the average is not necessarily indicative of what you are.
Like that's what we're saying here. Like, sequencing matters a lot, you know? I mean, like, this is a different take here, but people hate on, like, ERA is a great stat for the most part, but not all ERAs are created equally, you know? Yep. And like, if I could build a 5 ERA pitcher and he could give up 150 runs the first inning he ever pitches, and then obviously never give up another run, the stats would look terrible, but he'd be a super valuable guy. So it's, I mean, yeah, the sequencing is really important. And right now the sequencing for the Cardinals just isn't very good. You got to find a way, though, to figure out how to manufacture runs, score runs. And I think, I mean, Oli Marmol is still feeling out the way this roster works, but I think at some point in the season, you'll get into that a little bit more where, okay, Victor Scott's on. He can steal a bag here. We can push a runner into scoring position, maybe get aggressive and steal third or something like that. And now you can start to force runs across a bit, which is nice. I'd like to do a bit more of that. But I understand feeling these guys out. On the other side of things, I didn't get a chance to look at this, but I do want to see how often the Cardinals are giving up 7 or more runs pitching-wise, because I'd say it's equivalent to 2 or less offensively, 7 or more defensively. I would say if you score less than 2 runs or give up more than 7 runs, you pretty much have lost the game before the other side gets to do anything. And it just feels like the Cardinals have done that a lot this year, where it's like they're non-competitive games because they either haven't managed to put any runs on the board or have just like sold pitching wise.
Yeah.
Do you see that? Is that just me or is that
Yeah, I think I'd lower it to 6 even. Like, I think if you give up 6 runs, and anyways, I can't talk and count at the same time, but it looks like 5, 6, 7 times or so maybe. They've already done that this year.
That's like over half the games you've played, you're basically saying, yeah, we lost, which it's frustrating because you look at the positive run differential the team has. You're like, how are we 5 games below 500? And then it's like, well, because, Oh, yeah. This is one more interesting stat. Our pitching is great. I saw this. The pitching will be great, and then the offense just doesn't come through that day. Can you believe the Cardinals are in quality starts?
I don't think it's fair to say the quality starts thing is all offense, though, because there's been plenty of quality starts where the bullpen implodes too. So I think it's both and with that one. Yeah. And I think at least early in the season, it was mostly the bullpen that was being the problem, where you get to extra innings and you're blowing up there. You're blowing up in 8th and 9th, and you're not getting the ball to Helsley. Like the fact that Helsley's only pitched in 10 games this year at this point I mean, that's an indictment. I think more so in the bullpen, because there's been so many games where it's like, okay, you got to get through the 8th inning and get to Helsley, get through the 7th inning, got to get to Helsley, and they can't do it. They just can't hold the lead. Lately, though, you're right. It's felt like the offense has kind of sputtered a little bit.
Yeah.
Because until today, the last week, the Cardinals bullpen, it was so Graceffo gave up 1 yesterday, and they went 8 2/3 inning out of the bullpen. So I think that means the last 20 innings, the Cardinals bullpen had only given up 3 runs, and 2 of them came from Helsley's blown save going into today. And that's more than, I mean, that's awesome. You love that from your bullpen.
And today you had the B squad in there just trying to clean up after the rain delay.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. And like the Cardinals are going to need, I would hope, and I don't know if they'll do it, but I hope to see a Chris Roycroft move, and maybe you move Savanson back down to AAA and bring back Roycroft. His sinkers look a lot better in AAA right now. He looks like a more competent pitcher. I trust him in spots more than Roycroft, more than Savanson right now. I don't really know what you do with Riley O'Brien's spot, because I mean, he looked pretty good in AAA. I'm not ready to give up on that, but he's definitely the guy I would trust the least at that point if you brought Roycroft back up. I trust him a little bit more than Savanson right now, but not a lot. And I think that's just one of almost like people how they talk about schedule losses because of they played so many games in a row, or they're on the road for multiple amount of games. I almost think like there's a schedule loss with the bullpen availability at this point, where like there's some days where like they go for the win the night before and they use Maton and they use Helsley, and it's like, and they need to do it because you can't totally play for tomorrow every day. But then the next day, it's like you've got Leahy available, but then the only other guys you've got available is like Helsley if it's a safe situation, but then it's O'Brien and it's Savanson. It's like those games, I'm like, the offense is going to have to be awesome, and whoever's starting that day is going to have to go 6 or more innings to have a chance to win this game. And I think it's just one of the things when you're such a thin roster like the Cardinals right now, where you look at the lineup and it's like 1 through 9 when they're healthy, they could produce like one of the top lineups, even if they're inconsistent, but overall they can do it. But you take Herrera out of there, you have a Wilson slump, and things are hard. Look at the bullpen. It's like the top is good, but then it gets really shaky toward the bottom. It's same with the rotation right now. It's like you've got some guys that, like when Gray goes out there, when Liberatore goes out there, I feel confident. When Palante does, I kind of do. Fedde, not really right now. Michaelis, I get he's been good lately, but I'm forgive me for saying I'm not necessarily confident when he goes on the mound right now. And I think that's just a reflection of when you have a team that's about 500 or slightly below or slightly over, is that, again, like if you're talking about a team that wins 2 more games than it loses, then basically 50% of the games you watch, you're going to be frustrated by them. And 1 more than 50, you'll be excited. And that's just kind of what this team feels like right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with any of that. It's just, I say it a lot, but I just wish we could lose like normally, I mean, today we pretty much did. But this year,
what's a normal loss though?
A normal loss is a game that does not go to extras. Your bullpen doesn't blow the game. It's a game that you lost pretty much like in the 5th inning. You're looking at the scoreboard and you're like, we probably lost. And so I'm already processing it by the time we do lose, and I'm fine. Like today, whatever.
But would you not in the 5th inning be like, oh, why did they score more runs in the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th though?
Well, sure, you think that, but it's like you look up in the 5th inning and you're down 4-1 and you're like, we could win, maybe, but we're probably going to lose. Like today, that's exactly what happened today. I remember I was listening. I picked up a buddy from the airport. I was listening to the game. It goes into the rain delay. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll just talk to him in the car on the way back. We don't need to listen to this game. Like they're probably going to lose. I'll watch the highlights. But it's not like the losses in Boston. Oh, just devastating, right? Or the 13-inning loss to Pittsburgh, like so frustrating. Or Brendan Donovan ties the game in the top of the 9th, and then immediately the Mets walk us off. Like the Cardinals, the Cardinals have already basically suffered a full season's worth of devastating losses. I think we have.
Unfortunately, there's more to come.
It's an imprecise science, of course. And I love my imprecise statistics that I just make up on the spot. But my devastating loss stat, I think we have 6, which I say a team should lose about 1 game like that per month. Oh, yeah. The ones to the Angels were ridiculous. Okay. The one where you give up 3, come all the way back, tie the game, don't win, and then lose the next frame by giving up another 3. Oh, just a gut punch.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
Which, I guess if you want to go optimism meter here, it's like to be 14-18 and you have 6 devastating losses already on top of normal. Course. It's like
fluky. They're fluky.
Yeah, you would think if you had 6 devastating losses, you're looking at a team with maybe the worst record in baseball at that point. Because it's like it feels like those devastating losses are the ones, like you said, they feel like how'd you lose that game? Not just you lost, because every team's going to lose at least. What's the best record in baseball usually is like 100 wins, maybe 105 wins. That means they lost 50 or so games. So it's like every team's going to at least lose 50 games, probably 60. And then it's like, that's just like scheduled in. I know some of those are going to be devastating losses, but anyways, we can get down to that. But I'm interested to see this weekend, though. You've got arguably the best team in baseball so far this year in the Mets coming back. This time you're playing them at Busch Stadium, but the Cardinals are very good at home this year. So like,
at home.
Which one gives in? I'm guessing the Cardinals, but we'll see on that one. You got Clay Holmes versus Sonny Gray tomorrow, McGill versus Fedde on Saturday, and then it looks like Palante is set to go Sunday, but the Mets don't have a starter announced yet. So we'll see how that goes. But I am intrigued, or we touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious your thoughts on this. Like, I think we were all pretty like, outside of Helsley, Leahy, and Maton, like this bullpen's awful as of a couple weeks ago, and didn't really be. I know you love John King, but I think we could all agree we had basically zero confidence in the bullpen outside of those guys. Do you have increased confidence after this week, or is it more so like they had a good stretch here, but you still win? I guess Fernandez isn't there. When anyone other than those 3 come into the game, do you feel okay about their chances, or are you still pretty nervous?
Oh, I'm totally nervous. It's like maybe Jojo Romero's getting some of his mojo, his Jomo back.
Jomo back.
It's possible. He looked pretty good the other day. I don't know. I'm still really nervous though. It's terrible because like guys will come into the game. I'm like, what about just 1? If you give up 1 run here, it's fine, which is terrible. You should always expect relievers to put up a clean inning because a good reliever puts up a clean inning at least 2/3 of the time, if not much more often, right? Honestly, if you are on a major league roster, you should be able to put up a clean inning 3/4 of the time because you're going to give up crooked numbers every once in a while. It's going to inflate the Oli ERA a bit, but for the most part, you expect it to be good 75% of the time. And with some of these guys, I'm just like, man, let's just limit it to 1, like, when Savanson's coming in, I'm like, what about just 1 run today, Matt? That'd be nice. I know he hasn't been in a bunch. I don't mean to pick on him, but I don't know. I think on the whole, I'm still not like super stoked about anybody coming into the game. It devastates me to see John King come into the game and know that it might be bad. I'm like, I can't handle this for my guy. Hate to see it.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily. I still feel pretty nervous when anyone besides Helsley, and even Helsley comes in right now. There's a little bit.
Oh yeah, right now I'm more nervous about Helsley than I have been since 2021, probably.
Yeah, but I don't feel nervous about Maton or Leahy right now. When those guys come in, I'm shocked if base runners get on. I'm like, whoa, what's happening here?
Right now, he looks so.
Maton just really had that 1 bad inning. I know he gave up a run, but it wasn't earned in another game. So anyways, they've both been nails. I love it. Speaking of relievers, though, Ryan Loutos DFA'd and then traded to the Dodgers today. I just gotta be honest. It's hilarious to me that if you said the name Ryan Loutos 2 months ago, even 2 weeks ago, most Cardinal fans would have said either who's that or why is he on the 40-man roster? And then they trade him for cash, and the response is, what are the Cardinals doing? They're
Wait,
crazy.
were people upset about trading Loutos? Why?
You should see the replies on.
Wait, can you pull some of these up for me? This is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in class all day.
You know what?
I saw the news that he was traded, and I was like, "That's great! It opened up a 40-man spot."
We never do this, but I'm gonna do it on. I don't know if Andrew's gonna get mad or not, but let's do a share screen mode.
Oh,
here.
let's go! Come on.
Let's go check out Twitter. Let's see the receipts on some people. Can you see my Twitter?
I can. This is awesome.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Oh,
okay.
We're breaking boundaries here. This is
we're
great.
breaking boundaries. When Andrew's not here, we can do whatever we want. Let me know if you can still see it because I had to pull it off to.
No, I've got it. I've got it right now.
So so Ryan Loutos is traded to the Dodgers for cash considerations. Let's look at some of these replies. Oh, I love the Kenny on the top one though. People are gonna freak out when he breaks out over there. Okay,
I mean it's a great take.
And Miz again, a good take. People are freaking out. It's not that serious. See, top one. Who?
I love that.
Not sure if I've ever seen his trade for anything else. Okay, fire John Mozeliak. Poverty franchise. Mo can buy a new bow tie. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Someone throwing a telephone, I guess. Apparently, they were so mad they wanted to break their phone. I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna put the sound on like that. That's one. Cash considerations. Are we expletive stupid?
Hey, we're a family-friendly podcast.
Yeah. Just, don't care. Stop sending players to the Dodgers.
Send Loutos to the Dodgers, please.
DeWitt loves green bags. Yeah. Aren't you playing a game? Why? Anyways, I like the who ones. That's funny though. So I just like again, and it's not just that. Like there's
wait. Oh, did someone wait. Is that are those his AAA stats or are those his like?
Oh yeah, I don't know who that was, but yikes!
Hold up, I'm gonna pull that up. That's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, anyways,
let's talk about this for a second. Trading Ryan Loutos is not a problem. This is really good for the Cardinals because we need a 40-man spot, and he's been sitting on the 40-man forever. Ask Kareem. Okay, Kareem is dude. The 338 is hilarious. That's 8 innings at AAA this year. I'm sorry, he's not an intriguing arm. It's time to move on. This is for the best. The Cardinals need 40-man space. This is a good trade. I know it's because he went to the Dodgers and people are mad, but like, who cares? Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Loutos is not going to do anything with the Dodgers. And if he does, he wasn't going to do it here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a reliever too, which is even more like anyone can break out for anyone. I mean, it just happens all the time.
Asset. He was a negative asset for the Cardinals at this point because they need space on the 40-man. You've got guys that are sitting in AAA like Andre Granillo, for example, that are more intriguing arms. You have to get him a spot eventually. You're going to have to protect Cooper Jerpy this year in the Rule 5 draft.
Yeah.
And if you were to let someone take Cooper Jerpy, you'd be stupid, right? So you're going to have to clear out these guys. Move along. Let's get the next guy up here. Yeah, I mean, Loutos had no value to the major league club. I can't. It's so funny that people like. I understand there are things to criticize John Mozeliak for. There are also things that's just like, what are we talking about? Like, why are we criticizing Mozeliak?
Yeah, there was a group chat today where someone compared it to the Adolis Garcia trade, which I was like, okay.
Adolis Garcia. You know what? I can't even talk about.
Yeah, that's right. I was just gonna leave it at that. It's like, come on.
Anybody remember the time Adolis Garcia tripped on third base and Cardinals fans went ballistic and asked if they could trade him now?
Yeah. Anyways, and also too, like last thing I'll say, it's like if Ryan Loutos was released and wasn't picked up by anyone, no one would care. No one would care. If he was picked up by the Dodgers or Phillies or someone, then I think some people would be like, oh, they saw something Cardinals didn't. It's like, whatever. But I can't with the back and forth when people act like all the Cardinals 40-man roster's trash. This guy doesn't even deserve to have a roster spot, blah, blah, blah. Cardinals trade that player away to the Dodgers. Well, what are they doing? It's like, okay, like, can't have it both ways.
It's actually,
and I know and I'm saying that as I'm not everyone who's listening to this is like that. So it's like, and most people aren't like that. It's just, there are some, and it makes me want to pull my hair out sometimes. But anyways, I think bullpen, yeah, frustrating. But it's been a little bit better lately. But like you said, confidence level, whatever. Offense mostly on the year, pretty intriguing. But to your point, maybe inconsistent. Here's something I for sure know we agree on. And I know we don't want to talk about this today because he had another disaster class in Cincinnati. And we were both, along with Andrew,
Oh,
and
I'm
we're
so
not
ready for this. The victory lap is coming.
Well, I don't want to. First of all, I don't want to do a victory lap.
I agree.
Second of all, we weren't the only people who said this, so I'm not gonna like act like we were. And
hey, we were part of a vocal minority, though. We were in the minority.
I do feel like we were in a somewhat minority. Depends who you ask.
I bet it was like 40-60.
Yeah, which is fine. But the thing that always matters the most is like the Cardinals should have been in that minority, though. Yeah, they should have been a part of this, and they weren't. Dumb, but the fact that Erick, okay, actually, let's do like we do need to thank our sponsors real quick, and then we should, before we do a victory lap, we should maybe repent of our Miles Michaelis hate a little bit.
Oh yeah, I would love to do that. You know what?
Actually, I should do that because you are the.
Yeah, that's right. C tier Miles Michaelis, baby. Come on, keep moving up. He's gonna be an S tier.
So before we do a little bit of that, our Fedde and Michaelis conversation, one thing 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They do new selections of packs, boxes, and single player cards of local players and stars from around the league. Make sure to go check them out. We know many of you shop there already. Shoot us a message or pictures if you go there, and let them know we sent you. And we also want to tell you about Underdog Sports, one of the newer sponsors of our podcast. The Deal on the Cards podcast is proud to be partnered with Underdog Sports, our favorite place to play fantasy games. You're now eligible to play in Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and 37 other U.S. states. You got to check out Pick'em. It's so easy to play. You just pick 2 to 8 stats of your favorite players and choose whether they'll go higher or lower. You can win 20 times your money by going 5 for 5. If that sounds like fun, sign up with our promo code CARDS to claim your first free pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We can't wait to see your entries. Make sure you use the link in the description to download Underdog and use that promo code CARDS again for a first free pick 'em and a first-time deposit offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Okay. I will repent real quick. Actually, 2 things. First of all, when we did the ranking, it was arguable. It was within the range of arguments that Miles Michaelis was F tier. So I don't like that there are some people that replied to me after the Cincinnati start and said, see, how could he be an F tier? And they used that stat. They used that start in the stats.
Yeah,
I'm like,
not fair.
We made that tier list in a moment in time, and we will change it the next time. I can't go back and undo it, and I cannot predict what he was going to do it. We did in that moment where things are trending because, again, you look under the hood, and I do not like – I've seen a couple people say like they pull out, oh, well, in all these other starts, he's a 2-something ERA, and they're like, he's been brilliant. I'm like, no, the numbers are brilliant. He has not been brilliant because he's been pulled from games early.
0 swing and miss.
Yeah, like he's been, and it's again, they protect him. They pull him from games early to make sure he can make it through. But again, right now in that role, he isn't giving up runs. And so, yes, Miles Michaelis, I give you credit. I am sorry. I'm sorry for doubting you could do it, and I'm
back right now. Like that's a viable strategy.
Yeah, I don't kind of, but then if you do that, then you really are, because they're also doing the 6-man. You're getting really tricky if you're doing a 6-man, but you're also piggybacking.
I would just let Steven Matz and Michaelis piggyback and say on those days we don't waste the bullpen. That's where I'd be. I know the Cardinals aren't going to do that. It's too creative and fun.
I prefer actually like that over the traditional 6-man.
100%. Let's have a 5.5-man rotation. Like I like that way better. I like that way better.
But anyways, and so again, Miles, you've been good lately. If we did a tier list right now, he'd probably be C tier. And you know what? Bravo. Good job, Miles. But guess what? At that time, I think it was fair to put him in F tier. Was it harsh and aggressive? Sure. But guess what? I think he deserved it because the man's getting paid $18 million. It wasn't able to get out of the 5th inning. True. I think that mattered. But again, we even said at the time, we debated D tier, all that, but it's fine. You know who has moved himself down to D and F tier though is Mr. Erick Fedde.
Yes.
The walk rate. Here, I'll pull some of the stuff up. It's here. I'll let you do you can go ahead and rant about it. I've got some numbers.
It's bad. Okay, he's been awful. Erick Fedde's ERA is up to 4.68. He's 1-3. He's worth 0 WAR this season. Right. He's only gone 32 innings and 6 starts, so he's also averaging 5 innings a start. He's struck out 17 and he has walked 16. Erick Fedde is walking the house. Okay. His strikeout per walk, right? 1.06. That's horrendous. I mean, by the end of the season, you're talking about a guy that will walk at this rate, will walk 80 guys and strike out 83 guys. You know, I mean, it's really bad. It's horrendous. He's walking 4.4 per 9. I mean, he's also giving up 1 million hits too, 7.7 hits per 9, which is slightly lower than last year, but it's because he's walking so many people and because the control is that bad, you know, and that's still a lot of hits to give up. That results in a really high whip. So Erick Fedde's basically allowing 1.35 base runners per inning, which is terrible. That's contributed to an ERA of 4.68. And honestly, he's lucky it's that low. I think it should be a lot higher. You're looking at a guy right now who I would argue is the worst pitcher in the rotation right now. And it's also a guy that you could have gotten a lot back for. Like, let's go back to that part of the conversation, because that's what I'm so frustrated about. We said it all offseason, okay? There were so many reasons to trade Erick Fedde. Reason the first, Erick Fedde was going to get you a lot. Like, Erick Fedde last year was really good, right? The people that are like, oh, Erick Fedde's a bum, he's always been a bum, those people are stupid, because Erick Fedde had a 1.2 or a 124 ERA plus last year. Even after the trade to St. Louis, he was a well above league average pitcher, 112 ERA plus, 372 ERA. He had a 3.11 ERA when he was traded at the deadline. I mean, Erick Fedde gave the White Sox and Cardinals 177 innings last year. He had a career high strikeout rate as a starter. That was awesome. You know, he limited walks, 2.6 walks per 9, like completely different pitcher than he's turned into this year. Erick Fedde had a lot of value. You could have gotten a lot back for him. We were talking about like an organization, a top 10 prospect from an organization, maybe like 2 top 15 guys. We were talking about legitimate value. And if you're the Cardinals, who obviously are pinching pennies these days, you know, with no one coming to your games and you can't win and your TV deal's in jeopardy and you're a small market that's shrinking. And we can talk about that another time, because I'm worried about all those things. You're trying to save the money you can. Someone would have taken on that $7 million so quickly, like in a heartbeat, because Erick Fedde was a legitimate number 3 starter coming into this season. And there are a lot of teams where he's your number 2. Right? Plenty of teams would have been very happy to take that on. They wanted Erick Fedde. There was a market for Erick Fedde. And pitchers like Erick Fedde were going out and getting a ton of money on the open market. I mean, Erick Fedde is not Garrett Cole, but he doesn't have to be Garrett Cole to be worth a lot of money, because it's what he's being paid, right? Look at Sean Manaea. No, look at Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas was not that good last year. Frankie Montas is being paid almost $20 million a year right now on like a 3-year deal or something, 2-year, 3-year deal. Yeah. Look at what the Brewers gave Jose Quintana, right? Like, Jose Quintana's not coming off a great year. Definitely not an Erick Fedde year. Look at what Luis Severino got from the A's. That was crazy money for a Luis Severino. Yeah, and these guys have serious injury history too. These guys have way bigger question marks than Erick Fedde. Erick Fedde, what he did last year, that's a guy that if he was looking for a 1-year deal, was probably going to get like $22 million or something. Like, he was going to get a lot of money. That's $15 million in surplus value for what you had. Like, you had a valuable asset and you sat on it all offseason when you had chance after chance to trade him. So there's a market that develops. He was going to get you a lot of money. Teams were going to take it on. The Cardinals were going to shed money, and it was going to free up playing time. McGreevy still not in the rotation. We're a month into the season and I haven't seen McGreevy yet. I don't know when I'm going to see McGreevy either. You know, that's a problem. Now, unluckily for the Cardinals, but also luckily, Quinn Matthews is hurt. So it's not like he's banging down the door right now to get an opportunity. But could you imagine if he was healthy and you still couldn't find a spot for him because you've got freaking Erick Fedde on your team? It's ridiculous. And that just pushes McGreevy. It pushes Robersa. Graceffo showed you some interesting flashes the other day. He threw 99 miles an hour. You've got to find a way to get that guy a start. Like, let him have a chance, you know? Erick Fedde is doing nothing but crowding this rotation. And more of this. Steven Matz looks like a really good pitcher right now. Steven Matz looks like the guy the Cardinals paid him to be 4 years ago. He actually looks incredibly viable right now. And we can't even see Steven Matz in the rotation because we can't get Erick Fedde out of the rotation. And we can't get Erick Fedde out of the rotation because he is terrible all of a sudden. And you can't trade him, but you can't give up on him because maybe he gets the value back and maybe you trade him at the deadline and he's not going to play well out of the bullpen. And you shouldn't put him in the bullpen anyway. And none of this works, and it's stupid and annoying. And here we are, the 2025 St. Louis Cardinals.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I'll just add a few more things into there. His whiff percentage right now is 7th percentile. Miles Michael is sitting at the 1 percentile, is pretty great. But
but Michaels doesn't need to strike you out. Soft contact, which Erick Fedde does not. Miles Michaels doesn't walk people.
that was Erick Fedde's game last year, right? Is that he induced soft contact and didn't walk people. But here's the problem: his walk rate has more than doubled, and his strikeout rate has almost been cut in half year over year. His strikeout rate right now, he's striking out. Oh gosh, sorry, I just had it right in front of me. He is striking out 12.5% of the batters he's facing, while he's walking 11.8. He's almost walking more batters percentage-wise than he's striking out. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Well, no, Dakota Hudson did it once.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Wait, no, actually,
I think he did it for a small stretch at one point.
Yeah.
But Erick Fedde's K to walk ratio, which people are like, 15, 20%. It's 0.7% strikeout to walk ratio right now. You can't get by in this game doing that. You just can't. It's bad. His ERA 4.68, expected ERA 4.86. 4.68 ERA with an expected ERA of 4.86. So it's supposed to be even worse. His FIP right now 4.79, expected FIP 5.52. If you look at his BABIP right now, he's actually, it's not like he's getting blown up on that area. It's a 253 BABIP, and so like it's not like it's 330. You're like, oh, there's some regression coming there. It's like, no, actually, hitters aren't actually doing as much damage as you would think they would do right now. It's bad all around. Again, to your point, you don't move Matz out, or you don't move Fedde out of the rotation, because he is a guy that can recoup some of that value. Could be someone you could trade at the deadline. But again, to your point, like I think I did a comp early in last offseason. Chris Bassett was traded from the A's to the Mets, coming off a very similar year to Erick Fedde a few years ago. He was owed a little bit more money than Erick Fedde was, and he's going into free agency, and he fetched, I think it was the Mets' 5th best prospect, and they're like their 13th best prospect or something in return. And I think that's something, again, it's hard to compare farm systems, so that's one thing. But to your point, like I think you could have got one, maybe two, but probably one guy from a team's top 10, and then another prospect to throw in. You look at this farm system right now, we can go back and forth, but I would argue it's lacking some depth. And maybe you have a young arm right now that's, again, not someone who's going to be a dynamic frontline starter or anything, but maybe you have some pitching depth that you could have acquired for Erick Fedde that's cheap, cost-controlled, helps you in 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029. Maybe you strike gold and you get the Cole Reagans. You can't bank on stuff like that. But I would much rather have flipped him for that value than do what they're doing right now, which they're banking on the fact that Erick Fedde is going to have another good year, which his kind of profile, it's like, maybe I wasn't necessarily saying he couldn't, but it was risky. I didn't see the point in risking that. That was the main problem to me. Ryan Helsley, I understood holding on to because of how much you can get at a deadline for a reliever, but I admitted it was risky. Right now, it's not turning out for you. I don't think Ryan Helsley's more valuable today than he was in the offseason. Again, I'm assuming he's going to turn things around. I mean, you look at like the Diamondbacks right now who are already looking for a closer, apparently. There'll be plenty of teams at the deadline who want one. But the Erick Fedde one, by everything the Cardinals did this offseason, there's so many things to critique, but the one that never made sense to me was not trading Erick Fedde. You knew the Guardians were interested. We knew the Tigers were interested. And guess what? I'm guessing a lot of other teams were interested, and they sat on their hands. And you know what? We heard at one point during spring training that if they were quote unquote blown away with an offer, that they would make the move. But guess what? All offseason, we didn't hear that. It wasn't that, they value Helsley or they value Fedde so much that they need the market to come up and they weren't getting good enough offers. No, what we were hearing is they want to surprise people and they want to contend next year and they're going to hold on to Erick Fedde to do it. That was dumb. It made no sense. I get that you could push for the playoffs in 2025, but your eye should have been on 2026 and 2027, doing things in the best interest of those clubs. And guess what? Erick Fedde getting you in return was in the best interest of those clubs and Chaim Bloom. And again, they did nothing. And it's so frustrating. I don't get it, but here we are.
I mean, the really frustrating thing about Erick Fedde too is the fact that the profile, like you mentioned, the profile isn't something you necessarily always believe in, but the profile has changed, and it's changed for the worse. I think that's what's so annoying. Like we do a little bit of this on Birds on the Farm. Let's just do a really surface level look just at his arsenal, right? What's Erick Fedde throwing this year? Okay. So go back to 2022, the last year Erick Fedde plays in the major leagues. He was horrible. He played for Washington. He started 27 games and was dreadful. He was so bad that he reached free agency. No team took any interest in him. He went to Korea and reinvented himself, right? So the real problems with Erick Fedde at that point in time, the walk rate was a huge concern, 4.1 per 9, the low strikeout rate. He comes back The walk rate is basically cut in half. The strikeout rate increases to a point that's really interesting and really good. Okay, so now let's look at what Erick Fedde's doing this year, right? Obviously, last year, they had him throwing his cutter more than any other pitch. You look at Baseball Savant, his cutter usage rate has dropped significantly. His sinker, not his best pitch, has increased by over 10%. He's throwing it way more often. He was also incorporating a changeup that generated a lot of value last year. His changeup this year, he's not throwing it all, and it sucks. Like, I mean, his off-speed run value, -2, that's among the worst in baseball. I mean, it's just terrible. He also changed who he was as a pitcher. I don't know if that's the Cardinals doing. I don't know if that's just him on the mound, not feeling like he's got his stuff. But like, we can't not notice that either. And he's not locating these pitches either. On top of everything, he's not locating anything. Like, if you're watching the Erick Fedde starts, you see him go back to his fastball trying to find the strike zone, and he's not. Like, he literally is not finding it. He's not even locating his fastball for strikes. Just terrible. These are the things too that make me so worried, because it's like, I don't know how he regains the value. I don't know how he gets better. I don't know how Erick Fedde gets back to what he was. He definitely won't be as I mean, Erick Fedde could give you like 7 or 8 good starts in a row before the deadline. He won't be nearly as valuable as he was this offseason, because it's been so bad to this point in the year, and he's already tanked his value. But I don't see how Erick Fedde does that for you.
Well, I mean, I don't think if he turned it around and looked like himself from last year, I think if the profile is fixed, it looked like he figured it back out, I think he can regain the value. It's just, there's nothing that tells me right now he's going to do that.
There's just nothing that says he's going to do that. I mean,
because we're talking about May 1st right now, so like you have 2.5 months. Like, if he's good the next 2.5 months,
10
I think
starts. I guess I forget that it's 10 starts, or maybe more, maybe like 15. But it's just like, it just really scares me. Like, I don't see anything here that tells me he's going to get better. I mean, at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want, but if you can't locate your fastball, you're not going to be a good pitcher. And if Erick Fedde can't locate, if he can't find the zone, and I don't know what it is, maybe it's mechanical, maybe he's pitching through some kind of injury or something, but if he doesn't figure it out, he's not going to get better. It's not going to be better. And like, he needs to throw his best pitches more often. It's just bad. It's just bad. Everything's bad. Nothing's working.
But I do think, to your point, like, the only reason I think that Fedde's value can rebound is if there's a big need at the deadline, which there always is for starting pitching, but the actual names available, there aren't a lot. Because like last offseason or last deadline, you could argue Erick Fedde was the best starting pitcher moved. And that's part of the reason like Tommy Edman was worth it. And again, let's go back to that time. Like, it wasn't just Cardinal fans. It wasn't like national media was like, man, the Cardinals made a good deal here, and the Dodgers made a really good deal there. It was the White Sox that everyone was trashing on. It's like, you gave up Erick Fedde for that? Like, that was really dumb. But the Cardinals and the Dodgers made good moves there. Now, the Cardinals didn't make the playoffs, which sucks. But you weren't going to keep Tommy Edman, so I understand trading him. When you moved into a reset year and 2025 was not going to be about contending, having Erick Fedde on your roster no longer makes sense. And the longer you hold him, you're just losing value. That's when you flip him. Samuel makes a good point here. Value for 2 months versus a whole year. Here's what I would actually add to that. I'd say value for 2 months versus a whole year and a qualifying offer potential this offseason. That if the Guardians or the Tigers had traded for him and he had a good year for them, they could hit him with the qualifying offer and get a comp pick back. And that's part of the factors into the trade. There is the potential that you can recoup value. No team, you can't get that now when you trade him midseason. And so I think that also factors into the trades now. And so the only way you recoup that value is if Erick Fedde can look like he did last year and there isn't a lot of pitching available. Then it's like, okay, well, if everyone needs pitching, you're going to pay up a little bit. That's going to happen. But go ahead.
Do you think the Cardinals potentially thought they might just offer Fedde a QO?
1,000%.
And that makes me so mad, because that's so risky.
It is.
Like, the qualifying offer is a lot of money. Like, oh, dude, that's ridiculous. So they really did think they could just, and they'd rather, I don't understand this. I don't understand, like, draft picks in baseball, you're literally throwing a dart at a moving target that's so small and so far away from you.
True, but I wouldn't blame them for being like, well, Mr. Hype. Yeah, but I mean, when you look at Chaim Bloom and 2 of his comp picks were Christian Campbell and Roman Anthony, I think that dude's probably sees the value in those. Again, but I fully agree with you that it was too risky with, again, here's
I mean, if you're talking about getting top 10 prospects from someone's system, like, that's inherently so much more valuable than a draft pick, because those guys have already shown you something.
Potentially, because it's like sometimes the top 10 guys like Michael McGreevy, where it's like that could be a 5-starter, but
Yeah,
well,
dude,
actually, which is still
five-star
valuable. But there's the lottery. Well, but I'm talking about compared to a comp pick. There's the lottery chance that you end up landing a guy who could be a real difference maker. But again, that's smaller.
Like
but
3% chance though.
It depends who's drafting though.
Yeah,
so here's the comparison I'll make though. There's been some talk recently because of Tyler Glasnow's injury. The Cardinals dodged a bullet not trading for him. Again, it's hard to know what I'll start real quick. Worst draft class. At the top, it's not good, but like depth in the class, I don't think you can say that.
There's value at everything.
And also we look at top of draft sometimes, like that dude's gonna be a stud and they're terrible, but then someone who went 8th round ends up being an all-star. It's like we don't fully know these things. But so say they trade for Tyler Glasnow offseason. That would have made sense to me. And that's a guy that you can bank on giving to QO, because even though he got hurt last year, Tyler Glasnow is going to not take the qualifying offer and you will get the comp pick for him. Erick Fedde, it's like a lot of things would have to go right for Erick Fedde to be worthy of that. Now, I don't think as much would have to go right that other people think. Because again, like UC Kikuchi and Montas and these other guys got big deals. But to be fair, those guys also didn't have a QO attached to them. And so there was probably like, oh, we're willing to pay up a little bit because we don't have to give a comp pick for this guy. Now, if it's like, hey, UC Kikuchi or Frankie Montas also had a qualifying offer, maybe they end up being like Nick Martinez, where they take the qualifying offer and come back because they're like, hey, if I didn't have a QO attached to me, I maybe get $20 million over 3 years, but no one wants to give me that and give up a draft pick for me. So that's where it gets risky. I don't think it's the sole reason they kept him when I was saying yes to you. I think it's part of the reason is like, oh, well, also like he could get us a comp pick next offseason. They thought and rightfully so, they thought going into 2024 that Paul Goldschmidt was going to get them a comp pick if they didn't re-sign him. Guess what? Didn't happen. And that's a guy that I was a little more shocked by how bad he was last year. I think all of us could have seen this coming from a mile away, that one of the likelier outcomes is that Erick Fedde regresses this year and isn't worth it. Other teams probably saw that too. So it's not, again, you and I, when we talk about they could have gone good value, we're not talking about top 100 prospect. We're not talking about a difference maker. We're talking about an interesting piece for your farm system that this club needs right now. So it's frustrating.
I mean, look, I'm just saying, if you get a Michael McGreevy for Erick Fedde, like those number 5 starters, because there's not that much that separates Erick Fedde from a number 5 starter. I mean, he was really good last year, but he also still didn't give you a ton of length, still didn't generate a ton of swing and miss. And you look at a guy like McGreevy, the profile could eventually be similar to an Erick Fedde. I'm not saying he's going to have, a 180 inning season where he has a 3.70 ERA and is healthy and valuable all year, but like, dude, there's no reason he can't do that in a good year. If you get a controllable pitcher for 5+ years that like, hey, the floor is this guy can actually get out there and at least make starts for you.
Yeah.
That's so valuable. And the Cardinals don't see that. I don't know. They don't get it. And they're happy to take their 6 months of Erick Fedde instead, and they can have it.
What are the odds they extend him?
Dude, they've got to be so low right now. That'd be maddening.
No, I don't know.
Wait, do you think that'd be real? Could you imagine if they extend Erick Fedde? I'll actually riot.
I don't think they would do it mid-season. I don't think we're like on the precipice of an Erick Fedde.
I hope not. I really hope not. Why?
But would I be shocked if they bring him back in a multi-year deal this offseason? No,
multi-year.
But again, at this rate, he's not going to get $20+ million a year. Well, actually, I don't know. Again, Eric, like some weird pitchers have gotten a lot of money recently. So
I don't think so.
It is time blooms.
Play in free agency this year, actually.
Well, there's a difference between playing for Erick Fedde and playing for.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they'll play at all, dude. The Cardinals are so free agent averse right now. I
think part of that was a very strategic thing for this past offseason. I doubt it's going to be that aggressive again this year. I don't think they go 2 straight off seasons where they're just like, we're not spending it at all. I think that was like a clear the books, get opportunity. Don't put any contracts on this for Heimblum. Also, we think we're going to take a loss revenue wise this year, so we're not going to invest into these contracts to lose money. I don't think they're going to be back to spending like they normally would next offseason, but I don't think they're going to be adverse to spending $12 million on a guy or $15 million on a guy. Like, I don't think, but I could be wrong. I mean, we're too far away. And
here's the deal though. Andrew mentioned this offseason. I kind of shot it down because I didn't think that it would go this way, but so far it is going this way. Dude, what if the Cardinals are in the exact same spot next offseason where they're looking at their young starters and they're like, man, we don't know who any of these guys are. Like, I think to be fair, you might know who Liberatore is right now. He's been really good, and I'm really excited about what Libby brings to the table. You already knew who Andre Palante was, and yet for some reason there was still debate this offseason. Hopefully there's not now. But like, you have no idea who McGreevy is. Matthews is hurt, so you didn't figure anything out. Jerpy's missing the entire year, so he's not going to factor in at all. Hence is out for probably the whole year, and you didn't learn anything about him. I don't know what you're going to learn about Roby. I mean, we're still conceivably pretty far from seeing him pitch at the big league level. Obviously, we've learned nothing about Graceffo, and there's more intrigue than there was before because he just threw almost 100 miles an hour. So now maybe you're interested, maybe you're not. We don't know anything about Robersa, and he's hurt. So, I mean, you're going to be in the same spot where you're looking at these guys. You're like, oh, I don't know who any of these guys are. And maybe we're in the, and that'll make me upset. You've got to find at least McGreevy, at least learn who he is, and at least learn who Graceffo is.
Yeah, but I think it's too early to say that that's for sure what's happening at this point.
Well, I mean,
literally like tomorrow, Sonny Gray can pull his hamstring to Michael McGreevy's in the rotation. So like, I think
I'm looking at this and I'm like, man, I feel like McGreevy wouldn't be in the rotation though, because you already have your 5 starters and you just move to a 5-man rotation with Mats.
Maybe. I actually think they'd pull McGreevy up at that point.
I hope they would.
Because I think if you move Mats to the rotation, then I guess you pull up one of your bullpen arms you don't trust right now. And then your bullpen's like, yeah, you got 8 guys, but it's another guy you don't trust.
Yeah, these guys all suck.
And again, they want to do the 6-man thing. So if you're going to put Mats in the rotation as that 6th guy that gets tugged back and forth, I think you want McGreevy or someone else as that 5th guy. So again, I think it's far too early to say that the pitching, but I did agree with, I've said that along with Andrew, that I was worried this year because of the fact you weren't creating opportunity for the unstarters. This could happen. But again, the injuries they can't control. So that's something I'm not going to get mad at the Cardinals for McGree or for
I'm not upset.
Jerpy being hurt.
It's just unfortunate.
And Tink, like, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It doesn't seem like he's going to be the whole year, but he's on
the 60-day, and I just don't. I mean,
well, yeah, you're probably not going to see him in St. Louis this year, but that's not their fault. Quinn Matthews, again, I don't know. I think we'll see him this year at some point, but we'll see. Again, I do think we see McGreevy at some point. I do think we'll probably see Graceffo at some point, especially if they fall out of contention. Then they will be trading some of these guys away.
Though, I just don't know how you're going to get 15 starts from any of them. And
well,
that's what we wanted.
The only one that we're listing right now that isn't hurt, I think it matters, is McGreevy. Otherwise, like, I don't think Graceffo, there was ever really a world Graceffo was getting 15 starts this year, unless a lot of this stuff happened. And even if he did, he was going to have to do a lot to earn himself. Like,
that's true.
They need to make sure he's a guy that they can go to if a couple injuries happen. Not like, is he in the rotation? I think honestly, the biggest development is the fact that they put Libby in the rotation, because there's a world here where Mats is in the rotation instead. Yeah. And literally you're not learning anything about anyone.
Yeah. It's true. It's good to see stuff with Libby. And I mean, I should give them more credit. The way I'm seeing this happen, and I'm just seeing a scenario where Erick Fedde doesn't get traded at the deadline and where Miles Michaelis is still on the team in August. And I think both those things are pretty likely right now.
Well, I think they're likely if they're not good. I mean, if they're in contention, but if they're not good, I think Fedde gets traded for anything that they can.
True.
And then Michaelis they honestly could trade Michaelis at that point too, because especially if he's pitching how he is right now and he's like a C-tier type pitcher, like, there'll be someone who needs innings or needs a couple starts that'll trade for him. I think they'll free up, because they did the 2023 deadline. They like gutted the rotation and had Drew Rom making starts. Like, they're not afraid to do something like that. Hilarious. They're not, but they weren't going to do that going into the year if they want to contend, because they would have told you that it's like, okay, if a couple of these guys go down or a couple of them aren't good, like, realistically right now, I'm not going to say to their credit, but like in their heads, they're like, hey, you told us we should have Quinn Matthews in a rotation and we should have Cooper Jerpy as our 6th guy and Tink Henson there, and they're all hurt. And so, like, where would we be right now? Again, I don't care, because I don't think you can actually be that good this year. Yeah. But anyways,
I just really want to get McGreevy in the rotation is all. And like, I feel like if what for you is the date where if McGreevy's not in the rotation pitching, it's they've failed. Or not they failed, but they're wrong. I think for me, if McGreevy's not in the rotation by June 1st, you're wrong if you're the Cardinals. He's got to be here. Figure it out. He is a solid pitcher, and you've got to give him his chance at the big league level.
But let me know if this makes sense to you. If he's not in by June 1st, then you're wrong, because you said injuries would create a space and they never did. And so that's the problem. but I don't think it's like by June 1st they need to cut. Well, I wouldn't be mad. Okay, sorry. I guess I wouldn't be mad at the cut Miles Michaelis. But at this point, they've kind of like put their flag in the ground on what they're doing. And so you're not like with Erick Fedde, you're not going to give up on that. You're not going to give up on Steven Matz because you can get some stuff for them at the deadline. And so I don't want to pull the plug on those guys at this point, but you should have with Erick Fedde trade in the offseason. Dude, and again, it's like actually, and I remember writing about this. I said something, I wrote something, and people were kind of confused by it. I'm like, if you're going to trade a starter this offseason, you should trade Erick Fedde, not Steven Matz and Miles Michaelis, because you can get you. They could if you what they should have done again. They should have gotten value for Fedde in the offseason. If Matz is pitching how he is right now he's increased his value. You can get more value for him. Not again, nothing crazy, less than what Fedde would have gotten them, but a little something at the deadline.
I mean, you might actually get something for Steven Matz.
If he continues this the whole way, I think you can get something maybe comparable, maybe to what Fedde would have gotten you this offseason.
It's good stuff though for such little time and for a contract that people have derided. I remember that contract appeared in a list of worst contracts in baseball at one point that I was reading. I was like, who wrote this? Garbage.
Yeah, it's not been a good contract, but it's one of those that's not gonna. It doesn't weigh you down.
It's just not a big deal. It's like, okay, he's been hurt a bunch. Okay.
Yeah. And when he's been healthy, like, yeah, there's been some times where he's been bad, other times he's been pretty good. But anyway, so they got a weekend series against the Mets this at Busch Stadium. Again, Mets have been really good this year. They got swept by them earlier at Citi Field. Yeah, I don't feel great going into this series, but Cardinals split their first road series. Finally get a split in a road series. They're still looking for their first road series win of the year. We'll see what happens. Hey, also Kyle Leahy is a starter maybe at some point. You know, I forgot about that. He is someone that next year maybe gets some chances. But again, we'll be back on Sunday. I think we might have a full squad on Sunday with Kareem as well. So I'll have to check with him on that. Yeah, that'll be fun. As always, like and subscribe helps channel a ton. I think we'll probably have a Q&A episode this weekend as well. Always appreciate the support from you all. And yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric.